You know that it's fun to go out, except I never leave my house. I'm either at work or home, and it seems kind of pathetic just drinking alone. So if you got nothing going on, have some drinks with Ron.
Greetings. Welcome to Drinks with Ron. I'm Ron, and I've got a drink. This is Unshadowed Heffewiesen. It's from Ale Asylum in Madison, of course, another Wisconsin brew. And let I just read the label here. Vibrant as a summer sun and uber refreshing, our Hefeweizen is soft on the palate with an effervescent finish. Unshadowed is brewed with passion and is best enjoyed that way. So, I'm apparently supposed to enjoy this with passion. That being said, I will impart some of my own passion. One of my favorite things, something I'm very passionate about, is grilling, and on the top of my grilling list is brats, namely beer brats. Now, I don't want to get too uppity about it, but I've got my own technique. Most people will tell you they'll boil the brats in the beer and then cook them on the grill. That's all well and good. It'll speed up your cook time, and that's fine. But that is not how I do it. And I have converted a few people over, and I'm going to continue to try and do that. So I will show you what I consider to be the proper way to make a beer brat. Got to roll the Hefeweizen and get the wheat off the bottom. So, while I do just that, I'll kick it over to Ron, who's going to walk you through the process.
All right, let's get into this. Fairly simple. Let's start at the beginning. Turn on the grill. If you have charcoal, you're going to want this done way before. I have a gas, so moving on to step 2, clean the grill, and I'm very meticulous about this. I like my grill clean. That's how I roll. I'll also turn the heat up high here when I'm warming it up. I'll eventually cook the brats on low the whole time. It's to keep the casings from splitting and fat going everywhere. You want to keep the casing sealed and the fat in for the majority of the cooking. Now, it looks like you got her there, pal. Let's move on to the next step. Step 3, get the brats out. And 3A, drop the brats, knock over your beer glass, and look like an idiot. Check. So, 3B, be thankful your glass didn't break, get a replacement for your shaken beer, and shrug shoulders. Check. So, disaster's been averted. Let's get back on track here. We'll get the brats out, as I said, got it nice and hot. We're going to turn it down and cook them on low. Now let's get to the most important step. Step 4 is open beer number 1. This is a 3-beer job. And for this adventure, I've chosen Hamms. 3 Hamms. That's right. Everyone, sing it with me.
3 Hamms will fill him. 3 Hamms will thrill him. Why don't you feed him?
3 Hamms. All right. Number 1 is on the clock. Because not only are they tasty, delicious beers, this is also my timer. That's how I know when my brats are done. Ah, very good. Good cheap beer. I believe it's like $12.19 for a 30-pack. Something ridiculous like that. So, let's get moving. Step 5, let's get the brats on the grill. See, it's smoking up pretty good there. I'll eventually get those flames out. As I said, you don't want flames. You don't want to overcook the brats. They'll split the casings. Fat goes everywhere. If you got a gas grill, you're going to have a major fire. If you have a charcoal grill, you're going to stifle the coals. That's no good. So now let's move on to the next step. We'll fast forward. Finish beer 1, open beer 2. The brats have now been on a while. They're going pretty good. I am routinely flipping them. I'm opening the lid a lot, which normally I try not to do. But for brats, you got to keep an eye on them. I rotate them a lot. I want a nice, even cook on these brats. There we go. Beer 2 on the clock. Looking good. Looking good, Gus. Good looking, Gus. Now, normally, we're going to want to heat beer 3. Normally, I would have this done beforehand and in on the stove. So right about this time, you can get it in the pan, take it inside, get it warming up. You're going to want to do it on low. You don't want to just heat the shit out of it. You definitely don't want them boiling. You want it on 1 or 2. Just hot enough to heat everything and not boil off as little of the alcohol as you can. So here we go. Beer 2 is looking like it's in the books. So finish beer 2. As I say, I'm skipping a lot of the cooking here, but trust me, I'm flipping them a lot, and I'm constantly checking. You don't want fires, you don't want splitting. A little bit of burnt on the outside I enjoy with my brat. I like them brown to black in a lot of the casings. So now we're getting down there. Beer 2 is done. This is normally where I will pierce the brats and go against everything I told you earlier. Now I want the fat out of them. I'll pierce them with a fork so that all the fat comes out and they shrivel up to tiny little casings, and they look like just a shadow of their former selves. So this is when you open beer 3. As I say, now everything's they're shrinking down, the fat's coming out of them. They look tiny. They're almost half the size they started out as, and you're feeling like you got a little bit gypped. They're charred, I say brown to black all the way around, and make a nice little beer pyramid for you there. Fancy man. That's how I do it, because that's going to work well in the wind. All right, so they're pierced, they're shrunk. Normally, that pan would be inside, and I'd take them in on a plate, but for this demonstration, they're going right in, they're going to heat up, and they're looking good. For big parties, use a crock pot. Fill that bastard and let them sit all day. You can do nothing but drink beer and eat all day. Crock pot full of beer and brats. There goes a pyramid.
Normally I wouldn't do that. Normally what I would do is have the beer inside on the stove. Usually put it on about 2. You don't want to flaming hot boil it up. Alcohol cooks off before water. So you want to keep it low, warm enough that you're going to heat the brats, and this will in turn, A, keep them warm, B, it will take the place of all the fat that you've cooked out of the brat over the course of your grilling, so it'll kind of come out of the casing, and the beer will go back in and take its place, thus replumping the casing, giving you a bigger, more full brat. And when you do it this way, so most people will boil it first. Well, then when you're cooking it, you're cooking the beer out. I don't want to cook the beer out. I want to cook the brat and then cook the beer in. And if you don't think there's a difference, next time you do brats, beer brat, and do a couple each way. Then take them to work for lunch the next day. Heat them up in the microwave. One will leave a pool of beer in the bottom of your container and make the whole break room smell like beer, which ought to be enough to get you through the rest of your day. So that's exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to take a Tupperware full of beer brats. I'm going to microwave them until the beer comes bubbling out and the whole break room smells like delicious beer and meat that's been ground up and stuffed in. You can't beat a bratwurst, because bratwurst is animal ground up, shoved into another kind of animal. And that's just genius in my book.